Between developing the show and World War Key, are any new ideas popping up for one-shots or even anything past that?
I'm writing one now.
Yeah?
You know, I'm in the midst of writing one called, it's Lock and Key Pale Battalions, and is set at the beginning of the 20th century, and we'll take the comic in a really interesting direction. We'll take it into a direction that's never gone before. Yeah. And then there is a plan for another 6-book series called World War Key, which I've talked about. We've sort of been mapping the whole thing out. I had an idea for it just this morning.
Yeah,
literally over breakfast, I was like, how about we do this?
And we've been discussing concepts and ideas for new stories since we finished the first one. It's such an engaging universe, and one of the things that fell on your lap and you don't expect to be as good and as intense and as engaging as it ended up being, that you really feel a sense of responsibility toward it, that if you're going to get back to this world and these characters again, it's because there is a meaningful story to tell.
Yeah, some good stories.
And after a process of discussing and pitching each other ideas for years now, it's been great to finally have now we feel we're both ready to get back to this and tell something that's going to be engaging and passionate and working.
I mean, and I kind of feel like the show and the comic are almost like that DNA helix. Maybe it was really, cool that we started with the Mirror Key, because in some ways the show is a different reflection of what's in the comic.
Yeah.
So you have the same characters, the same ideas, but it's been Rubik's cubed into a new configuration.
Yeah.
Which makes it satisfying for people who are fans. This is the tough thing to do, and this is why Carlton and Meredith are so good at this. It has the elements that I think people who love the comic will want, but you're also not safe because you've read the comic.
Yes.
There's also, the show occasionally will rip the rug out from under you and take you in a direction you never saw coming. You thought you read the comic and you were prepared, and it turned left when you expected it to go right, which I also think is important because you want to keep people off balance.
Sorry.
Oh, back. May I?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I noticed that since this actually ties into you doing more comics, clearly you're setting up for a season 2. You covered most of the story arc of the comics in season 1, and I'm curious, how you went about crafting that with an eye towards what if this is a huge success and we have subsequent seasons. How do you approach that?
I think that if you're a television creator, you've got to spend your bullets. You really do. And so I think for us the goal was tell the best first season story that we could, and then just feel confident that you'll, by doing that, have enough narrative things will open up that there will be a great second season. And I think that that's proven to be true, because while Netflix doesn't officially pick their shows up until they get some data on how they've done, they have paid for a writer's room. So Meredith and I have been working on the second season, and I think it's really good. And it definitely has elements from the comic book, but it's now this show is this living, breathing entity with all of these things. And as Joe was saying earlier, you have these characters that are brought to life, and then you start to get this kind of character drama that you maybe don't expect. You start seeing how these characters interact with each other. There's a lot of stuff that arose that we have leaned into, and we're really excited about where season 2 is going. So it's still connected to the comics for sure, but now it has its own life, and we've also had Joe participating with us in that.
I don't want to jinx it though, because we have not been approved for a second season yet. We're waiting to see if that happens. The backup plan is if we're not able to get a second season, we are going to be using the house as an Airbnb. So look for that.
And there's room to try lots of things. When we did the comic, we got to a point in which we had to figure out what was going to be in the comic and what we would need to pull out of it, because in comics you have the constant problem that there's not enough space and time to tell the story as expanded as you want to. So you need to cut out stuff. And then we came out with this issue that's called February on Volume 4, Keys to the Kingdom, in which it was sort of what would be fun to see on a Lock and Key TV show that we won't have space to tell in the comics. And we came up with this 20 different ideas for new keys, and we pulled it up into a single issue of comic book.
Yeah, you guys know that issue February where it's like every panel is like a different story. You know how like Magnum PI and shows like Magnum PI always used to begin with scenes with like Magnum like throwing someone across the car, and then he's like, you know, kissing someone in the bar, and then he's like punching a shark, you know, and it's like you're like, wow, I want to see all those episodes. So that was like February. We always imagined as being sort of like our cheesy '80s opening credit sequence, like with all these scenes from stories. But then I was like, you know, like there's one panel where Tyler is fighting an army of teddy bears. You can see they have keys in the back. I'm like, I don't really want to write the teddy bear. Oh, there was the squirrel. There's an army of squirrels comes in, and one's holding a key with an acorn on top, and in condensation on the window, they've drawn the Omega key. And it's kind of like, what the hell was that all about? I don't know, but it looked really, really good. And, you know,
Was the plant key one of those?
Yeah.
the plant key turns up in that one.
Which we end up using
Exactly.
in our
Well, the
season
music.
one, though.
Well, actually, I threw in the music box key.
Yeah.
That's one panel. You see Kinsey with this knife, and the music is playing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then after I did it, I thought, boy, that's really too good to only be one panel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
used
yeah.
it again.
Yeah, we use it again, and then the
Yeah.
music box key, as I
Yeah.
think some of you guys know, turns out in a pretty significant way in the show, fun way in the show.
Yeah.